has played 10 games this split of the Aphelios and 3 of everything else. You kind of saw this coming.
Aphelios, definitely the expected pickup. I still think they could just go for jungle here, whether they do want to go straight to Poppy or if they'd rather pick up that Trundle, since View has, you know, been leaning on that one quite a little bit. And then you could save support for later on. Considering I don't think there's really too much you have to worry about here. Now for Ultra Prime, I'm curious to see where they want to go. Sivir still left open. The Yuumi would be able to pair alongside with it.
Miaoniu is, look, he's got Meow in the name. He's got Milk in the name. Oh, sorry, Cow. At the very least, for Ultra Prime's bottom lane, the option there, but maybe Lyric looking for something a bit more aggressive for Elk to pilot.
And you'd expect the Nami to be what comes out alongside it, which I think sets up WE really well to just go for Lulu on third if they want to just try and match that scaling. Even have a decent time in lane. If you think back to Worlds 2021, we saw this matchup specifically so many times, Lucian Nami versus the Aphelios Lulu. Yep. So this could actually potentially set us up for, you know, maybe a bit of a stronger top side for WE if they want to end up getting that counter pick for top, which I think is where you want to lean, especially with the champion pools coming in mid. Shanks has been one of these players who's really liked to lean on the Azir so far. Honestly, both of these guys have really liked to lean on this Azir pick. So I wonder if WE banning out the LeBlanc is maybe a good sign for Ultra Prime to take away that Azir.
I'm kind of curious, though, because for Hery, what I have here is Spring, right? And Spring is when we saw Graves top. He was a Graves top player, Lyric, and through and through it consistently came out. Gwen, Cannon, that's what from our debut top laner on Ultra Prime we could be looking at over on the blue side. While for Ultra Prime right now, they are just batting away some of those mid laners. Shanks has been pulling out the Azir left, right, and center. So is Cryin, funnily enough. So I feel like we are getting some crossover bets.
And now I wonder what you go for. Things still left open the mid lane pool that are prominent, right? Ahri still being there, Lissandra still being there. You could, I guess, ban out one as WE and take the other. Like, you could ban away the Lissandra, just go for that Ahri. But if Ultra Prime ban that, then we're going to be getting down into some niche picks in the mid lane.
Ooh, I already like it. But Galio taken away from Cryin. All right, so the all-in. And how niche can you go? Because I feel like at this point, we're going to be talking a little bit about those extended champion pools of people like Demon, Fiora, Jax, Gwen, who's played Camille as well. Lyric, what else here as we approach our final?
I feel like for Ultra Prime, you ban out one of those champions, whichever one you have the biggest problem with, right? Ban out a top laner, because now if WE pick Ahri, you left the Lissandra open, and Cryin has loved going towards it. We saw in their last series, he was picking first rotation red side, so I feel like Ultra Prime made the right move. Now WE gonna prevent that from happening, so it looks like they might actually take this away and either push Cryin into either the weaker side of the matchup, or you could try and match it with something else that can look to push lane, maybe like a Ryze, or, you know, we'll see where Cryin wants to go.
What do you think about Swain here in this scenario? Still open and available.
I feel like it's been such a while since we've seen it. You're going to be outranged kind of decently heavily coming in against the Aphelios if he's playing with that Calibrum. The movement speed coming out from Lulu to make sure he's not in range. And you even have things to worry about like the Trundle pillar. So Ryze is what I hit on of what I'd expect him to go if this was taken away. Looks like he's leaning that way, and you can set up to play, you know, from mid down towards that bottom lane and trying to enable Elk and Miaoniu to find themselves in an advantageous position.
Well, Hery's looking for a safe line up in the top side with the Gwen we pulled out before. In his debut, I could think of no other champion that could give him a bit of a highlight reel as well. Hery taking over Zoom's place, and we do get the Gwen in the end, but we did talk about Demon's champion pool being something that could counter.
I'm curious if he'd feel comfortable bringing out something with AP into the composition that WE have, because they have a relatively short-range comp if they did want to opt into more teamfight and go for something like the Kennen. But you hit on it. This has been the other thing that Demon's been playing. Can look to do it, have a bit of a 1-4 composition, and at least you know you'll be able to outscale in sides. The thing you have to be careful about is that Rum Warp able to come out from mid. So Cryin can potentially look to influence the matchup before Demon can get going.
Dude, it's their last series of the split. Both teams are out of playoffs. If we didn't get something like the Fiora, if we got an Ornn or something, Lyric, I would be fuming. But your name's Demon. You literally drink blood. You know, that's what demons do. They worship Satan, they walk around, they do demonic things. And that's what we want to see in the top lane. That's what you're telling me. Get the side lanes rolling a little bit here and scale up.
I just want to say, unless you've actually met a demon, I feel like you are very, potentially mischaracterizing them, and I don't appreciate it. But you're right. We actually...
Do you know one? Are you friends with one?
I'm just saying, it might have a couple, you know, in the caller ID, but I gotta say, Both comps so far coming out, I say relatively standard, or not even relatively, like both very standard compositions for a series that, like you're saying, really has no impact. I guess for WE it does, right? Because no one wants to end the split with 0 wins on the board. So I like that they bring this out. Ultra Prime as well, trying to get some data. They come in, they have this comp that can play really aggressive, especially once we hit that level 6 mark, we get the Realm Warp online, and we're gonna see if they can go back to the style we thought that they'd succeed with this split, which is enabling their bottom lane.
It might not be Elk and Shalcy, but it's Elk and Miaoniu on the bottom side. Let's elevate them, says Ultra Prime. While for WE, we're going to see if they can hold on for dear life. To be fair, V5 went 0-16 last split and now are in the top 4. However, the data's not really relevant because V5 got a stacked roster and were first for the majority of the split because of it. We'll get into the Rift anyway and at least hope that for WE they can show us something. For Ultra Prime, the same deal. Lyric, you said they were going to be top 6, all right? You need to be called out like I get called out.
Whoa, you're not
8?
calling out me correctly. I said top 8. Thank you.
Gee, well, that's a lot harder, isn't it? it's pretty close.
It actually makes it look worse, considering that qualifying for top 8 is much easier than qualifying for top 6.
That's true.
Oh no.
But it's okay. I know what you meant with Ultra Prime early in the split. I think we all did. You know, we had Zoom joining the roster, Hacker, Cryin, Elk, Shalcy, 4 names that we saw the development of. And a dark horse for the summer split that has fallen pretty flat. 3 series wins this split, I think is the saddest part, considering that we saw them beat OMG, who are now a playoff team. Take 3 games against BLG. Lose the series, but still take a game. Doing the same against JDG, that's when we got our hopes up.
I feel like even if Ultra Prime don't have a star player on paper, they have enough. Pretty much their whole roster in my mind, like coming into the split, was like around middle of the pack, whether it's like towards the upper echelon, like how I probably would have viewed Elk coming into the split, or like on the lower end of the spectrum, like Zoom after the performance that he'd put up on Top Esports, and even like before when he was coming off of JDG in that 2021 year. So yeah, and the fact that they had a style on paper that worked, I feel like if you're a team that comes in as a clear identity in the LPL, that is good enough to net you enough wins to be a middle-of-the-pack team.
Sure.
So the fact that they just struggled so much, again, went against that style that these players had thrived in on previous rosters, is really one of the points that bit them.
Oh my god, already in the 2v2. Look at Ultra Prime, Xing and Kedaya. Aphelios just auto-attacks at level 1, yet it is enough to force Elk to cleanse away after an ignite from the Lulu.
Lucian, Nami, not really a bot lane that comes online at level 1. You want to have your full combo ready to be able to burst them out, right? Your trade pattern's a lot more bursty, a lot more about the all-in and trying to get back out and just taking these short trades, to where Aphelios and Lulu feel fine just going to a war of attrition with autos, especially at level 1, where, you know, as Aphelios, you start out with that Calibrum, so you have the range advantage on the Lucian.
So far good news then. We're getting closer to level 3 as Elk and Miaoniu get pushed back in lane. Fuse on the bottom side as well, so the ability to cover is he's actually pinging towards bottom lane Lyric, maybe looking to try and get something happening here.
For WE, I feel like you would need to get them a little bit lower before you'd feel comfortable going for this dive. We'll see. They still have quite a big wave stacked up. Maybe they can get a bit more trading in there. They've already blown the cleanse. But worst case, if you can even just take these crowds, right? Looks like he's going towards that route now, and you'll be able to get something, but no.
He was thinking about it. Pillar doesn't connect, and that might be the problem. Is taken under turret to flash away from Elk, buying time. Kedaya is just taken up. He won't die, though. Somehow the dive works out. The first blood for View, and they want more. Xing's going to be shielded. He starts with the Gravitum as View still under turret, but not taking the aggro. And WE, the dive, ends up being a great success.
I can't believe they juggled that so perfectly. I mean, we saw how close it was, right? Going for a dive like that when, I mean, both Elk and Miaoniu are both about like 80% HP is so risky this early on. But they're able to pull it off. Again, just great juggling of that turret aggro.
I mean, such a clean dive. Not expecting out of the 17th place team. As look at the replay again. And ambitious it was, but a successful ambition.
Yeah, and we'll see here. They're going under the turret to start off with. I think flashing away maybe a little bit premature before any real damage able to come through, but it looked like ultimately probably wouldn't have made a difference. Maybe Kedaya goes down, but still, WE doing beautifully. Xing at the end being the one to pull that second bit of aggro because he is range, so a lot easier for him to get out of turret range as compared to View. And
didn't have to burn the flash or anything like that, where for Ultra Prime, Elk now with no summoners, the cleanse up shortly, but it's still going to be a CS advantage. It's still going to be a Noon Quiver to a longsword here as Elk runs forward very ambitiously so. and Xing just hits him back where it hurts. So a big CS lead in the bottom lane, Lyric, I was mentioning before. A kill in the jungle now, despite losing CS himself too.
Yeah, just one of the things about a dive, right? It means you get the bounce back towards your side of the lane. So Xing going to be massive now. And when you look at these compositions, I think WE is like very clearly much more indexed into like the later stages of the game. Having a Fiora, having an Aphelios and a Trundle, kind of looking for that front to back, or like 1-4 with Fiora as the game goes later on. So Ultra Prime, I think a bit more indexed into mid game. You have the Lucian, you have things like the Ryze, and at that point with the Realm Warp, can really look to accelerate the game. So I think for Ultra Prime, still not down and out, but the fact that WE have already started to accelerate their big late game carry is quite terrifying.
We'll have to see, as you said, level 6, that Ryze getting closer towards it. So Cryin, when he is able to move, see if he can manipulate bot a little bit. Because right now, as Xing is holding the wave, Elk and Miaoniu don't really have many opportunities, especially with Hacker not actually pathing towards bottom lane, going towards Dragon and into the river for the time being, Lyric. It doesn't look like this Wukong wants to be part of it, or maybe wants to find an interesting path.
Not going to go for it. I think, knowing that WE having that vision towards the bottom side in view, he's the one actually looking to double down. I'm curious how far overextended they are. So going to play near turret, but I mean, with the advantages they have, look where Shanks is on the map. They can do this. They can bully out Hacker, try and take away some of these camps. And I mean, more importantly, just keep getting more and more vision down, spot out where Ultra Prime are. I
mean, Hacker's still here in the wing. They don't care. In a 4 versus 3, we begin as under turret. Cleanse comes back up, but as Shin takes it up, he's got the flash still available as Cryin joins in off the back burner. Well, Hacker's the only one left alive. WE are getting turned on, but they've still found the favorable trade as Cryin now to thin out the wave, has got low health bars on the enemy team, but buying his space won't be enough. WE are putting on a masterclass in their final series.
That was a 4-for-1 trade. Like, huge coming out for the side of WE. You can see how much they don't want to end the season without a series win. I mean, this just feels like such a hard obstacle to overcome for Ultra Prime at this point. We're going to see, I guess, what happens in mid lane with Cryin. Kind of taking his time with roaming down, still needing to hit that level 6, so kind of hovering around the wave, is able to get here, but it just feels like too little too late. Finally gets in, it's close to bringing down Kedaya, Shanks, and View able to take down members on the opposite side, and then sadly for Cryin, left by his lonesome.
Dude, this team, I mean, WE looks so good. There was such good dives. With a 3k gold lead at 7 minutes into the game, View is 3-0-3 with 100% KP. And look at that Aphelios down in the bottom lane, almost doubling the CS here of Elk. And even as the wave is getting pushed in, he's almost got his first item here, Lyric, where pickaxe, noon quiver, boots sit in hand. Elk only traveling with the noon quiver for now. So walk me through a little bit how Ultra Prime can try and turn this around, because you talked about the level 6. That was a failure from Cryin. And now Ultra Prime are suffering in this early game even more.
Yeah, I mean, like, asking that question at this point, it feels really hard, because the fact that you weren't able to find a positive impact with your Realm Warp, and now we're sitting at a 3k gold lead for WE. It feels like covering your bot lane is pretty much just impossible at this point. Even if WE can't find dives, they can even just, which they're going to find a dive again.
The pillar, great. Elk still having the flash, has to burn it with all summoners being down off a cooldown, but Xing is just chasing down Calibrum with the crescendum. And Ultra Prime are getting out-diffed at the moment, with WE having such a solid game plan, and Hacker not getting too much apart from the large gromp in his wake.
For WE, I feel like the game plan from here is pretty simple. Like, you can already see what they're doing. Rinse and repeat. Even if you can't find the kills, you can get pressure for them to be able to take plates. WE should be able to rotate and start up Dragon pretty much any time they want from the strength of their bot and jungle so far. So after resets come out, I'd assume Xing, I don't know how close, if he'll be on Mythic, but you would expect him to at least get that final component. And then now with Divine Sunder in hand for View is, maybe Shanks goes down? Nope,
too far away.
Just fine. But yeah, as View now having this picked up, should be very easy time for WE to look at these neutral objectives. But now at the 9-minute mark, it looks like it's going to be all about that Rift Herald.
Yeah, it is. You can see Hacker already moving up to the top side, but he doesn't have too much to work with, especially with Shanks coming back out on the map with Lost Chapter. Stopwatch in hand as well, and one piece of gold away from moving towards that Everfrost. View holding control of the river, Lyric, and this level 6 Trundle is just looking for a pick before this neutral starts off, but you can tell that Ultra Prime aren't feeling too confident in looking for this early Herald, or at least contesting.
No, I feel like for Ultra Prime, you definitely have to look for a cross map. You can already see Hacker kind of hovering around mid, but I think head down towards your bot side, enable Elk and Miaoniu to safely get some of this plating. And if you can find an opportunity to find a pick down here, especially with Kedaya coming back, that would be pretty big. But doesn't look like Ultra Prime are even going to do it. And I mean, right, they're in such a rough position, especially now that Xing has that Gale Force. Even if they did go for a play on bot side, having that added security, like we just saw right there, being able to get out from the culling, just makes it even harder to look for these cross maps.
Gale Force picked up at like 8 minutes, by the way. That's how far ahead Xing is. As you mentioned, a good dodge, and at the very least with Kedaya showing himself back on the bottom lane, Elk and Miaoniu have to be careful once again. They've got no summoners available apart from the cleanse, while Xing is getting close towards his flash. Kedaya with both of his as well. And View just walking down after picking up the Herald. The Dragon sitting there, Lyric, and I don't know if Ultra Prime can win here at a 2v2. Shanks not going in, View not going in. They're very sus on the pixel brush, and are still paying respect.
I'm surprised at WE not more willing to opt into a fight here.
Oh,
I mean, they can buy time. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. There's the blade stand. It's the Gravitum with the pillar. Shanks doesn't even need to come in. It's Xing who picks up kill number 3, and just like that, when we thought WE were being scared, they pick a different angle.
For Ultra Prime, all you can look to do is cross map. You seriously have to give up on this bottom half of the map. Sadly, you pretty much have to give up wherever View is going to be. Try and get some deep wards down in that top side jungle, and just play around those timers where you see him pathing to buy. Demon so far has done a nice job of kind of dodging out on the windows where they can look for this, but here they come.
Okay, Realm Warp to the top side. You bring the party over. Demon has no ghost as he's just popped it. The grand challenge onto Hacker to try and buy time. He's built the space, and Ultra Prime's gank not successful. Demon zoned off the wave, but at the very least for WE getting bottom lane turret with the ward spotting out top means there is no trade for now.
Great job by Demon to be able to get away, right? Because for the fact that you're so strong on bot, you don't spot any of them coming down, and you can see their bot lane move to mid. It signals what Ultra Prime are going to do. So now WE can just look to double down even further with this Rift Herald. Might even be able to get this last charge. Yeah, reset comes out now, and here we are. 11 minutes, 5K gold lead.
Oh, God, it's so rough. Hery with the needlework up in the top side. One more charge to come through as they just aims it towards the wave. And Demon still staying alive all amidst through the blues up in the top lane. 5K gold lead, Lyric. I can't believe I'm watching WE. And I'm thinking, man, this team is slick. Like, it might be their 16th series, but so far, so good. And this is definitely their best game of the split if it continues in this direction.
I think it will. I think it's very hard for Ultra Prime to contest. And now we saw Ultra Prime kind of follow the steps that we said they probably would want to look for. Get that vision in top side, look to cross map. But now they probably have to you know, change it up. Now play down towards the bot side. Try and find the picks on the Fiora. You can try to just drop waves mid and try to answer whatever topside play that WE are looking for, but that would just open up even more opportunities for WE to punish.
And trying to get Elk on the back wing here in front of our screens. That Trundle is such a nuisance as they have to walk in and go, are they there? Are they there or not? Still don't know where View is, and Elk and Miaoniu are just not going to be doing it. While Xing and Kedaya are getting placed. The value of almost 2. And that gold lead is going to expand even further. 50 CS lead in the bottom lane, Lyric. And right now, the map getting pretty expanded here by WE in the first 14 minutes of the game.
And for WE at this point, I mean, even one overstep that happens, WE can just burst you out, right? If Elk walks a little bit too far forward, that could be a Gale Force into a Moonlight Vigil coming out from Xing. And you can see WE still knowing what they want to look for, wanting to play up towards his top side. They should look to start rotating Shanks over, and then they could potentially even go for another dive.
Elk just doesn't get to play the game. I love it. I mean, View is unrelenting. Up for the plate, in for a penny, in for a pound. Elk lucky to be moving up here as View just goes back into Fog of War. Shanks moving up and doing the same. And imagine being the Lucian this game.
I don't want to imagine it. I don't wish anyone to imagine what Elk's going through this game. And a lot of this is we're going to see what we missed here.
Oh, yeah, the fear ward. Okay, I get it. It's a control ward on the side because you're trying to get to the brush, Lyric, but you're scared. You don't want to. I'll put it there. That's okay. I'll put it there. It'd be nice if there was a champion in the game that could move wards. You know? I'm not sure what use it would have, but maybe as an ally.
I was going to say.
Maybe as an ally, it would fix errors.
I feel like that ability would need like a second part to maybe make it a little bit more worthwhile. I got to say, though, you saying the fear ward. Just reminds me of MSI, where you know every game we had the scare prize, and I remember messing up Medic doing it once as he was doing the scare prize, and I interrupted him, and he's like, "Hey, I gotta do this? Shut up."
Yeah, that's right.
He didn't say that, but I kind of wish he would have.
You know, we've got a scare prize emote here. I'm just trying to think of what we'd give away. You know, what emote will we give away for LPL? Maybe the FPX logo. Pause that thought. Shanks going to be knocked up. He's in a tomb for now, but at least for Ultra Prime, there should be a kill as he's buying lots of time so that WE can make a trade towards mid. They're making it pretty hard, but Ultra Prime do get the kill. Down goes the 7-1 scoreboard, while for WE now, full access to mid with 2 top.
WE feel fine doing this because they can spot Gwen pushing down the wave in bot, so no even worst case, it wouldn't really turn into a 5v4. The time it would take her to TP mid, they would be able to back off to their own turret, so go for the siege, get back up towards this top side. They're trying to keep a vision because Herald's going to spawn in 20 seconds.
Okay, with the Herald coming in, just look at those items. Serrated Dirk, almost a collector for Xing. Gale Force now picked up for Elk, but apart from that, only one other mythic on his team as Cryin been found out. He's got the flash available. He have to burn it as Demon charges him onto turret, but with the TP coming through, here comes Harry Potter onto Demon. He starts it off. It's like Voldemort in the final battle. He takes him out. What a spoiler as Hery gets the kill. This Gwen now seems to be a beacon of hope for Ultra Prime.
I gotta say, though, how dare you? LPL's not a place of spoilers, and how dare WE? I feel like WE were in a pretty fine position to just try and get the setup for the Herald, clear out the vision, and play with the strength of their bot lane, indexing a little bit too far into the pick for Cryin, especially Demon. I think diving that turret was, just a little bit too much. But WE, doesn't matter if they're a man down. With the lead that they have, they still feel confident going for this. And now Ultra Prime, they're just going to play, try and get vision down on bot side. They're not even fast enough with the resets coming out from base, where I think they really feel comfortable starting up Drake, but Hacker's still going to go for it.
There you go, yeah. Miaoniu on a ward. They know they're walking over towards it. Shanks makes the first move with ultimate backup and available. Shanks. They know. They do know. There are pings coming down. Shanks is thinking about it, Lyric. He's like, oh, I'm just going to wait.
And it looks like they finally do want to commit in the end. Like you said, Shanks does have his ult if he wants to buy time and lock Hacker down. But Hacker still has the W.
Yes, Mighty should be able to get over the wall. The glacial path not going to be taken as Tidal Wave was a good holding factor. So at least for Ultra Prime, getting the Dragon Lyric in a game that felt like it should have been over in the next 10 minutes.
To be fair to Ultra Prime, W haven't really been able to escalate their gold lead too much. They might finally be able to get this down.
They can't get
No,
mid.
Ultra Prime going to be able to clear the wave, but for W, right, they have the Hery. So realistically, they can guarantee the structure when they want, especially if they were willing to even just commit Demon towards the mid after he pushes one wave, overwhelm them with numbers, give you the ability to drop that Herald safely, take that down. But it seems like they don't want to waste that considering how low the turret already is, which I think is a reasonable play to make for WE. Try and just get that one with the pressure you've been able to keep up if you can force a pick, and then use Herald on one of those tier 2s.
So quick step back, even if WE though, don't find anything with it. It's not a proactive mid-game for them. You did talk about scaling quite a lot. You talked about how this functions, sidelining for the Fiora. Even if WE are slowed down a little bit by Ultra Prime, it's still good news, right?
W will always be in a position where they can win the game, like with the amount of damage and the scaling that they have.
Right.
The one thing where I will say we shouldn't count Ultra Prime out is I feel like Ultra Prime's composition holistically brings more to a 5v5.
Oh,
like Gwen, Wukong, gonna be tremendous frontliners. Ryze, like you bring a bit of AoE damage, you bring some CC to where Fiora, not really gonna be able to bring too much. So I feel like as WE, there's always going to be windows. If you leave yourself open to a huge cyclone and just the big damage coming out from Ultra Prime, you could definitely still lose this game.
Okay, well, an important note, because at this point it's kind of counting them out still, with the goal being slowed down a little bit. But Herald opening up mid for WE at least is part of the proactivity we wanted to see. Now for Demon versus Hery, up in the top lane, Needlework begins grand challenge. All about those angles as he tries to counter it out. Hery with one more vital left remaining. And he's facing against it. The rest of WE are bringing up the cavalry as Needlework to clear out the meteor wave. Hery knows he's going to die at some point, but will he take down Demon with him with the glacial path, the tomb down, and Demon to pick up the kill? There will be no trade, and for WE, the gold trade this time around ends up being better.
WE keeping down Ultra Prime's only hope is going to buy them a bit of a refresher as well. Pick up the camps they already have in the jungle, go for those resets, because with them pushing, a lot of standing gold kind of still left in their jungle to be picked up. But now no neutral objectives on the map, so I'm curious to see where WE look to get their vision with Baron coming up in 30 seconds. I think it'd be a pretty solid move for WE to look there. And I think Ultra Prime are banking on that, which is why they're committing so many resources down towards this bottom side.
It's going to be an opening turret here for Cryin as well, who kind of desperately needs part of that gold value. We get the turret down. Ultra Prime are able to move up to gold to about 4,000 is the discrepancy. And remember, Ultra Prime were down almost 6, so the fact that gold hasn't really extended past that point, Lyric, it's also a good sign about Ultra Prime are trying to stagnate this game. And, excuse me, I seem to be dying because I haven't bought a bow tie in about 2 years. So, you know, as a person with an Adam's apple, it gets really tight there. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
I can't believe you didn't take it off right after the Golden Ricks.
I kind of committed to it, and I realized that I can't find the clip for it. So it is stuck there for the time being. I have been trying. It's not for lack of it.
Well, hopefully we have a huge play and you get to test, you know, your lungs, your Adam's apple to its fullest with a huge call. And you know what? We can predict maybe an Ultra Prime team fight comeback could be what's in the books. But I gotta say, I don't want WE to end 0-16. I feel like the novelty of 0-16 is cool, but I also feel like it is more depressing than it is like, haha, that team was able to go 0-16. So hopefully WE can keep it up. Looks like they're going to now get onto the map, try and clear out some of the vision that Ultra Prime have gotten up towards the top side. And this also allows Ultra Prime to push down towards that bottom side, try and get some of their own vision for Dragon, because Dragon going to be coming up in 45 seconds. That
Infernal Soul and a Dragon already taken here by Ultra Prime as well to stagnate WE, who pulled up the first neutral. We're just looking at that ward up in the top side that stays on the Baron for now. So Ultra Prime feeling no fear of WE threatening with a ward that has been able to get through all the lenses used. 25 seconds there, Lyric. Cryin with no TP, but a Realm Warp, but he's very far from home.
Still, he has Hery waiting in the wings. Both teams posturing up towards his top side just in case that pick comes through. And I want to go back to items real quick just to highlight that Hery actually being up on items over Demon, which is surprising just with how large the gold lead for WE has been. But it really just drives home the point you made about Gwen really being the saving grace for this side of Ultra Prime. So once again, going to dodge out on where WE are, try and find a pick onto Demon, and potentially get the top lane turret.
Cryin tries to send Hery up into the turret, picking an angle onto Demon, but he doesn't take it.
WE actually don't go for Dragon. They're now committing on a play to mid, so they will pick that up. Ultra Prime don't look like they'll be able to trade for this top lane turret with the wave not in tow, but...
Oh, it's a pincer.
Yeah, instead trying to get the kill so they can turn for a Baron.
I mean, Xing, it needs to heal up and does so onto the Krugs. At the very least, Raptors, excuse me, as Ultra Prime bring their bottom lane in to help them stop that maneuver, and WE cancel it out. So yeah, Dragon just going to be given over at least the freedom for now. It's interesting to see both teams not even looking at it, instead just looking at each other, hoping someone messes up.
For WE, they don't have a lot of engage, right? So they need to be playing on these objectives. They need to be forcing Ultra Prime to come into them. And even the whole thing about us talking about sides isn't really coming to fruition just with how much Demon has lost out. 224 CS for the Gwen, compared to 167 for the Fiora. And Ultra Prime still not feeling comfortable to opt into those 5v5s, to not walk into an area where they have no vision into, you know, the waiting arms of an Aphelios and a Lissandra. Have been making the right call of just dodging out and trying to find these picks. Since they were able to get one of the Dragons, they don't even have to worry about a soul point at this point in time.
It feels like Soul Point with the Infernal as well would have been one that could just blast and end the game, especially with 12-14 new Dragons, extra damage, and with an Aphelios that will soon be 3 items. So you're right on that degree. Ultra Prime being able to stagnate a little bit, and I think coming back to it, you know, we knew Xing was going to be a big condition. I want to mention that he's so close to that Infinity Edge. This 50 CS up Aphelios, who has dominated through the lane thanks to the help of you, is such a core carry at the moment. It feels like Ultra Prime need to kill him if this turns into a fight.
And Ultra Prime might have the opportunity. They've actually committed 5 members towards mid. They can try and hard force into River here. And they do have engage tools, right? They have the Wukong ready to go. If Miaoniu can find a huge ulti as well, that can very easily turn into a pick.
Over the wall, Shanks going to be spotted out. Hacker setting up for the engage as View just walks in. Collection Path's going to be taking Shanks with the two-man Rude, and the Everfrost not connecting might not be good as Culling on the return. WE in the full 5-on-5 Lyric. He talked about this as Demon comes on in and Hacker joins. Hery's already used the needlework though as the double kill ends up going to Xing, and Demon continues going forward. Cryine's going to be the triple here as Xing's Penta's out of reach. But for WE, we're back to square one. We're back to that Aphelios being huge.
I feel like we saw the difference as well of WE just having more items, having the more damage like in their arms compared to Ultra Prime, who do have the setup and we're trying to find that pick. But ultimately, WE able to find the kills. This is going to lead to a Baron. And honestly, I feel like this opens all the opportunities that WE have needed to really force their gold lead ahead.
As we talked about, for WE, 7k gold lead. Game one looking pretty good, guys, as we look at this full 5-on-5 in the mid lane once again.
And I was surprised that Shanks was willing to follow this one through. He does get on top of Elk and locks down Miaoniu as well. But Elk, not really taking a whole lot of damage, was able to get away. And then we see Hacker trying to set up, but sadly the damage not really there from the side of Ultra Prime. And we see Xing firing on all forces, was able to follow through with that flash as well to guarantee one of the kills and just keep the momentum going forward.
Lyric, you know I love Cryin. When he was on RNG, I think he was really underrated, great roaming player. I watched that fight, I watched the Ryze. Didn't really hit anything apart from an E. That was not a minion, so really unfortunate to watch back. As for that mid laner not getting any of the damage out, you said the item advantage is huge, but just makes it so much more in comparison. And now with the Baron on the map, now with the Infinity Edge there as well, close to a Rabadon's here for Shanks. I'm ready to watch WE's Siege as they've got Inner in the top side and only inhibitor turrets left standing on the rest of the map.
And luckily for Xing, actually just lost the Caliber. I was going to say if he has the Caliber on, can even bully them out from out of arm's reach. Still going to be able to do so with the Baroned up minions. They can just constantly do this with the threat that they have. And look in the mid lane. Demon split pushing, trying to pull them apart. And my God, full HP Moonlight Vigil. That's what happens to them.
If that's Harry Potter, then that has to be Draco Malfoy on Xing on the other side for sure. But WE pushing into the base has never looked so easy. As Ultra Prime bring a Realm Warp to the mid lane. And Demon just presses Q to get out. This is such a big diff right now. And WE are making it look easy as they look for their first game win. Xing is frontlining, he's that confident, but the tidal wave might change things as Hery is sending it down the line. View's taking it, the needlework. I knew it was Hogwarts all over again. Getting that big kill onto View. Now they're scattered, running for their lives. They flash forward. Elk gets the kill. Shanks there too. Ultra Prime committed the roll warp before. It looked horrible, but now all of a sudden, it gets back to even as Cryin hits from over the wall. Demon's dead too. WE, where did it all go wrong?
For Ultra Prime, we know where it all went right. It was for the Gwen. The Gwen getting in there, needlework pop has the W. Not having that same ability to take him down from, him being within the Shroud. And then members of WE already missing some tools, like we'd seen the Moonlight Vigil already previously thrown out. Demon, for some reason, kind of decided to just run it down once the play was already over. But we'll see here. Ultra Prime wanting to try and make a stand. And it's all going to start with Miaoniu being forced out. But Hery sees the opportunity to go in, throws down the W. Xing not able to put any damage down onto him. And they find the initial pick onto View. Luckily, they do have the ability to run these targets down with the flashes that are up. And even though the DPS might not be there, Ultra Prime's composition still has a ton of burst to be able to finish off these kills. And here's where we talked about Demon, I guess, wanting to be one of the boys.
True.
Saying my friends are dead. Why, me too?
Lyric, what's his name? What's his name? You gotta play the character, dude. He's Demon. WE's Demon. Now, whether that's a good or a bad thing, people can make up their mind, but we're going to come back because Dragon's live again. Ultra Prime just won a fight, stopped the Baron push. Still scared of WE, however, with the item advantage we talked about. But, hey, at the very least, the gold has thinned out a little bit, and Ultra Prime are finally coming out of their base once again.
So with WE now going to be on Soul Point, I have a question for you. Coming into today's series, did you think WE would win?
No, I thought it was 0-16 for sure.
So, if WE win, will you do the Australian honor of doing a shoey for them?
I can. Is it off broadcast? It depends what is in the shoe. We got a professional integrity, you know what I mean? So.
I mean, if it is off broadcast, it at least has to be somewhere public, whether Twitter or any other space that Hysterics is at. But
if WE lose or win,
I feel like if they win, they deserve the celebratory shoey.
Okay, I'll give them a shoey. I don't know. I'm not doing it out of any of the nice boots. My fiance and I went and got nice boots, so we're not doing that. She would be furious at me. But if I can find something like a thong or maybe like a gumboot or something, I'll do a shoey. And it'll be with a good Australian, ale as well. All right, Warden the bottom side lyric. For now, we're going to hold off on the shoey thought because let's be real. It's only game number 1, and things are too tense for my liking. WE have looked good, but that last throw, I don't know, it made me feel uneasy.
I guess that's why we're getting here. We're talking about the series, because this game is tense. This feels like a Game 3, final and like a 1-1 series of who is going to be able to pull through.
This is World Finals. This is
There we go. Hysterics calling it here first. This is the actual World Finals. And looking across the board at some of the things we need to pay attention to in the fight is both AD carries not having flash up could be key. If either of them get picked off, it is just done. But one of the differences is Xing now having a stopwatch in his inventory, so we'll be able to buy time if the Wukong is able to get on top of him, hopefully buy enough time for a wild growth to come through and for other members like Shanks to get in the middle of the fray and buy a lot of space with his ulti. For Ultra Prime, they're still looking for the same thing, bursting out one member before a fight really starts and before that DPS from the Aphelios is able to show through.
Well, Demon almost bursted out to start off. You can see the lens came in value there for the top laner of WE as we look for this brawl in our 20-kill game. We're grouping up, Hacker over the wall, but Shirelia's is great from Kedaya. Gets them out, now ready to re-engage. As Lyric, it's just going to be a pure fight. WE want to try and get a Game 1 win. We're staring at each other, but Shanks' angle is what's got me petrified. I feel like if he gets into the backside, it's all going to be over as Cryin steps on up. Great Everfrost onto view. He flashes away. They head forward. And Ultra Prime are just taking away the threat from WE to kick it off.
And this is what's awkward for WE, is the fact that they don't really have that engage other than Shanks. Shanks can't really just run forward, right? He's looking to come off on an angle to get on the Lucian. And Ultra Prime now setting up for the Baron, but look at Hacker's positioning. Ultra Prime really just want to find the fight.
And look at the wave crashing into the base as well.
Oh, Hacker's got this.
WE trying it, and you're right onto Xing. He goes golden, but he's still exposed. Into the middle, Hery's here as well. Xing is destroyed by the needlework. Harry Potter always wins in the end, and once again, Hogwarts is looking victorious as WE are having this win cleaned out from under their feet. Swept up, taken down. Ultra Prime now in control, and WE, it stings all too well.
And Ultra Prime now have some pretty nice step timers to work with. At the very least, going to be able to push down an inhib. I'm curious to see if they're willing to go for more.
Well, Lyric, look, they're confident, they're heading forward. WE heads in hand, surely. A Game 1, a diving game in the bottom side that looks so clean. But Ultra Prime now with 5 members turn it on its head. Kedaya trying to buy his own sense of justice, but WE have dropped it. And Ultra Prime snatch it right back with one more game, threatening the undisputable anti-dream of any LPL team.
I feel like if I'm Ultra Prime, I'm so confused here at how we won this game. I mean, the lack of engage looking like it really bit WE, and the fact that they weren't able to find those angles with Cryin, right? It felt like they more had to be on these neutrals first, pulling WE in, but they look kind of scared, they look kind of apprehensive, which is the thought of Wukong being able to get on top of them. And I think the thing that sealed their fate the most is it's like, okay, you don't have like a ton of engage, you really only have this Lissandra, but you're already winning, you're super strong, you're already playing for these neutrals, setting up these Drakes, but your Fiora has also fallen so massively far behind. It's like, you know she's already useless in a team fight, and heck, it could be hard to team fight with Fiora even if you're massively ahead, let alone if you're the one who's behind, you're not influencing team fights, you're not really winning out in sides, as we saw the Gwen doing incredibly well, and then it left them in this like really awkward position of having these stare downs with Ultra Prime trying to find ways to get Cryin in the middle of the back line, and Ultra Prime were doing a nice job of keeping those angles warded out, and then, I mean, they finally just pulled the trigger decisively on that Baron, and a beautiful flank coming out from Hacker to set it up. Again,
one was all's needed. You talked about it quite a lot in that game, and I know we also talked a little bit about the Gwen up in the top side, Hery's debut, and we did get, a great Gwen game. Like I said before, it is the champion at the moment to really bring out the montage. As we look at some of the stats across the board, like, this was a WE win through and through, Lyric. I don't know how much more secure it could be. 8,500 in the lead. They had an Aphelios with so much protection. I mean, Xing had the game in the palm of his hands, but it just hurts
Ultra
to
Prime
see.
Ultra Prime finished this game with a 300 gold lead. I think that tells the whole story. I mean, we can see there the damage numbers coming out from Xing, not too surprising. But, I mean, looking at the side of Ultra Prime, we said it was the story of Gwen. Elk also still putting up relatively good numbers. A lot of that, I think, coming down from those callings that he was pretty much constantly throwing out in mid-game. That, like, sure, they might not be always turning into a pick, but still getting some damage down, forcing them off. And, I mean, this was WE's game to lose. And sadly, I mean, it looks like maybe you won't be doing a shoey today.
Well, you know, there's always another time for a cold one. So we'll have to see. Look, I always thought this series could go to 3 games. And let's be real, a lot of people out there expecting it to do the same. But we have to wait and see. We'll go to a break and find out if Ultra Prime are willing to give WE the big old summer split L.